We've got this story from NPR. The White House is looking to replace Pete Hegseth as defense secretary. Okay, that's the story. Rapid response says lies from NPR, which we all know is a fake news propaganda machine. So the story they've been pushing is that there's a second signal gate. Leakers have been fired. And now you've got this op-ed from, this is Politico. Former top Pentagon spokesperson details month from hell inside the agency. Now, there's a couple arguments here.
Yeah.
This is a fake news story. Hegseth is not going to get fired. Trump already spoke in his defense. But I'm not sure who was pointing out. I don't know if it was you, Shane, earlier about Matt Gaetz. Trump also, you pointed that out.
Yeah, that Trump kept backing Matt Gaetz until he could no longer.
Indeed. So maybe there is an argument that Trump is just trying his hardest not to see Hegseth out. The other argument from the right is that the deep state is trying to heavily influence the removal of Hegseth.
That guy who wrote that op-ed is not the deep state. He is a guy that Hegseth hired. He's a political staffer. That guy, John Ulick.
Yeah.
He is a political staffer. He was a senior communications advisor on Trump's 2016 campaign. And the other people, too, they are all politicals. They are not deep state.
So
does that mean he's good?
How does that mean? What does it mean they're not deep state?
Okay, then if he's such a good manager, why would you hire a guy like that?
That's a great question. Why did Trump hire
people?
Bolton?
Well, then why is Trump hiring Pete Hegseth? And it goes up the chain.
Yes, Trump hired a lot of bad people in his first term, and many people were concerned about the hires that were going to come in the second term.
Yeah.
He's done a pretty good job, but I'm not surprised to see that the firing margin is a bit lower than what we would have seen in 2016 had he learned his lesson.
So
Yeah?
I think what's actually going on here is that within the Trump administration, there are rumblings between the more isolationist and the more hawkish camps. And this is manifesting right now through the debate on whether or not we should strike Iran preemptively at their nuclear sites. So I think some of Hegseth's staffers allegedly leaked out the Iran plans early to the New York Times and other outlets in hopes of trying to help prevent the plan. So it's really those two sides knifing each other within the administration. And then there's also the Democrat and left media that's taking advantage of these internal conflicts that are going on to try to kind of capitalize it, is how I see what's going on right now. So that doesn't mean the administration or the Department of Defense is in complete disarray or the Pentagon's in complete disarray. I think it's people trying to knife each other in the back more than anything and want to influence the way the administration goes. That doesn't mean Hegseth needs to be fired.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they are putting this out there themselves.
But do you understand the context behind...
To see how it goes, and then... Because maybe something big is coming.
Well, I
maybe
wonder,
there are text messages, again, like Signalgate, and everybody's going to
these were high-up staffers.
Let me give you the stupidest conspiracy out of all of it. If you don't want to go to war with Iran and the deep state's going to try and force your hand, just throw the Pentagon into disarray and they can't false flag you into one.
I like that.
And I did say that was the stupidest conspiracy theory, by the way.
Yeah.
Because, right now the concern from the right is that we're going to get forced into a war with Iran. Mm-hmm. We saw the story that Israel was trying to go to the U.S. to join them in a strike. The U.S. backed off. Trump said no. Tulsi Gabbard said don't do it. Israel said we're going to maybe do it a little bit anyway. If there's some kind of attack or false flag or who knows what, if the Pentagon is broken, we're not getting involved in that war anyway. Right. So if you had a functional Pentagon, and again, I'm stressing this is a stupid conspiracy theory. It's probably not true at all. I'm just saying, if a false flag were to happen, we would be publicly pressured into a conflict we don't want to be involved in. However, with the Pentagon broken, the response is going to be unfortunately, due to the disarray with leadership, we can't formulate a proper response to what happened in the Middle East.
Can I just say what is probably really happening? This is like Veep, okay? Have you guys seen Veep, the show? It's a fucking disaster in government. No one knows what they're doing.
Always, yeah.
More likely than not, it is just a bunch of people who have no idea what they are doing. And
this is the one thing libertarians get right.
Did you ever remember that?
They're crazy too, though.
Yeah, they are.
Do you remember that line? I don't know if you remember that line when something happens in Yemen. They're like, when life gives you Yemen, you make Yemenade. And it's you can't even make that shit up. But this is just
that's only one step away from the reset button, the misspelled reset button that Clinton took over.
So regarding Iran, the administration has repeatedly said that he cannot allow them to get nuclear weapons. So I think that's why a lot of this stuff is coming to a head now, as I think we're going to see this weekend as well. Negotiations continue. Whether we'll see them actually go anywhere has yet to be seen. I don't think the admin's also going to get rid of Hegseth, because once you get rid of one of these top guys in the administration, one of these secretaries, that means everybody's kind of on ice. It's kind of opening the floodgates for other people to be fired too.
Now, hold on.
He wasted so much political capital on Hegseth to just throw it away now.
What about a less stupid conspiracy theory that if Hegseth were to be fired, they would get an acting sec def, and that could be anybody Trump wants?
I mean, I thought Pete Hegseth was...
Well, also, he's already outlasted Mike Flynn. Let's not forget that. The National Security Advisor who went out on February 14th, 2017. I remember that was a horrible Valentine's
Well, nobody's
Day.
been fired yet in the administration. None of the higher-ups.
Oh, is
Right?
that true?
Yeah, think of one.
Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Wait a minute.
So that's why he's trying to keep everything together. Because if Pete Hegseth gets fired, other people could be,
Well, yeah,
on the chopping block.
And they spent like $10 million to get him confirmed.
He's solid on everybody on his cabinet. Also, with the Walt story, you could have hypothetically kicked him out for that
Waltz.
Signalgate story. I mean, if he wanted to get rid of that story really quickly, he could have just booted him out, but he chose to stand by him. So I suspect Trump's going to stand by Hegseth throughout all of this.
I do think it may largely be fake news, specifically because, as you were mentioning, I think it was you saying this, that the Democrats are just speed running through all these narratives and these individuals trying to latch onto something, and they don't have any strong case against the Trump administration.
Oh, come on. Signalgate was a fucking disaster.
It did not resonate with a single person.
Okay, I know. Okay, I interviewed Laura Loomer for my podcast, okay? And you
You did?
You might. Yes, I did. I just had her on Thursday, and you may say what you want to say about her, but she is very close to the president. She's a very powerful person.
I don't think we have anything bad to say about Laura Loomer.
Okay. All right.
Well, no, she was saying that she's powerful and close to the president.
She is. She had an ability to walk in the door and a side door into the Oval Office, and she had the ability to essentially take out 6 very powerful people in the national security apparatus, overruling Mike Waltz, okay?
Yeah.
And actually, when she showed up in Washington, she told me, and this has never been reported, that she had a video of Mike Waltz from 2016 speaking very poorly about Donald Trump, and we'll have it in the podcast. You should check it out on my YouTube channel at Tara Palmeri. But yeah, she came there to kill Waltz. Waltz walked in the door just in time because she knows like he's 78 years old, Trump, and she's got to show him the video. And so Waltz walks in the door. She told me that Trump is not happy with Waltz, and she told me there's a lot of infighting in the administration.
But do you think he'll get fired?
Listen, I don't think she would have gone on my show and talked like that if she didn't think he was already on ice.
So this may be all true and correct. I don't disagree. I'm just saying that the American people don't care about the inner workings and the minutia. Signalgate.
He is the national security advisor.
And go to Times Square and ask someone about Signalgate. What are they going to tell you?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. You know how people are safe in Times Square? The way that people are safe in Times Square, a target, by the way, is because of the national security advisor.
Right.
It's because of that.
But again,
Someone that
if you go to a random tourist from anywhere in Middle America, let's say you go to Times Square and you're looking for American citizens specifically.
Oh, but God, but they
you
probably don't even know the capital of Maine.
Indeed, that's the point. And they vote. So when you go to them and say, "What are you really worried about?" and they're like, "These gangbangers all over the country," and you're like, "Trump's supporting them." I like that.
Okay, but would they be worried about going to Times Square if there were terror attacks there all the time?
There
because
were.
We didn't have a national security apparatus, and
But there still are, and it's gang members like Trende.
it's a lot safer than it was when I was
isn't that a big leap?
Elad. Trende Aragua guy got arrested for shooting a gun in Times Square at people.
Okay, I want fine. Fair,
So
fair,
yes, they're
fair
going to be
enough.
like.
I want to tell you what it's like to live in a country where you do not feel like you are safe. You know the national security apparatus does not work. I lived in Brussels.
Ukraine?
No, Brussels. I lived there from 2014 to 2016. I was covering the EU, okay? And while I lived there were so many terror attacks between Paris and Brussels from the terrorists, the homegrown ISIS terrorists that were there. And the bomb went off in the airport. I was there at the airport. The bomb went off in the subway below my office. We were under lockdown for weeks sometimes. We were told we couldn't leave our house. There was the Charlie Hebdo shooting. There was just random plowing of people in resorts in France, in Nice. It was a terrifying place to be. And the reason that this was happening was because they had no real national security apparatus. They could not protect their country with its open borders where people were able to go in and out through the No, listen. And you know how they were, and you know why you haven't heard of a mass terrorism account, something that happened in Europe recently, like a mass terror attack in Europe. There was one in Germany recently. It's because they got the help of the FBI. It's because they got the help of the CIA. It's because they got the help of our security apparatus.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I think there are issues with some of the way the first Signalgate stuff happened, but can you walk me down the logic of how Times Square is therefore not safe? You know, Mike Walsh mishandled in a part of a Signal chat, right?
If the person is in charge of security, then our nation's security
He's a
is at
national
risk.
security advisor.
He runs like the cyber command. He runs everything. He runs
Your
all
bigger
these
concern is
people.
probably Kristi Noem, but more importantly, the issue that I brought up
Maybe
is
Kash Patel,
the issue that I brought up
FBI.
is specifically,
I don't know.
will Trump earn favor among voters, which will benefit him in the long run?
I don't care about that. I care about
don't-
being safe. I
Yeah,
care about
okay.
government.
And
I
so
care about,
and so you agree with my point then.
yes, but if
Regular people in this country
they
do
will
not care about this.
They will care when they are not safe. That
No,
is
they
when
won't.
they care.
They-
Oh my God, are you
they're-
kidding?
You
they
are
will absolutely care when
You
they're
think
not safe.
that people are going to know what the NSC does?
They may not know what the NSC does, but they may know that they don't feel safe under the Trump administration.
So what do
and
they
that
want?
means the buck stops there.
So what do
and
they
so
want?
They want safety.
And
They
how
want
do they get it?
through a team that works for the president.
Law enforcement.
Exactly, but if you don't have
Deportations of Tren de Aragua,
it's
MS-13.
not only Tren de Aragua that are going after people everywhere. We have threats from everywhere. We have threats from Iran. We have threats from Japan. Not Japan. We have threats from China. We have threats from Russia.
Asian country.
We have threats from everywhere. Everywhere. Every single
The
day.
point that was brought up was this story matters little to the American people.
I didn't forgot about this story. I care about the people
Well,
that
then I
work
don't know
for
what you're
him.
arguing.
I'm talking about. I'm telling you that if you don't think it matters who has these jobs,
I said the American people don't care about this story.
whether they don't care about the story, they should worry about who has the jobs.
Sure, but they don't. So if you want to argue they're factually incorrect in their priorities, true. But
You
the
only
issue
care about
is-
something until it doesn't work, and you know that. You don't care about your car until you can't turn it on.
Well, you care about your cars, you need to use it every day.
Exactly, and you
issue
need
here
security every day.
Is that of all of the principal issues
Mm-hmm.
polled, immigration is where Trump is winning. This story, they shifted off of immigration and to
I
try
don't
and
know
go
how
somewhere
you're
else.
actually connecting immigration to the Signalgate. I don't see how they're connected.
Let me try and help you out.
That's DHS. Okay, and then that's
So
NSA.
slow down.
So, like,
because
how
if
does
you're
it-
confused, I'll need to speak.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Regular people care about immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats are trying to get off the immigration story because they lost.
That's
so
fair,
they're
they lost
so they've
immigration,
shifted
yeah.
into something that doesn't matter at all. Potentially a second Signalgate. No one cared about Signalgate except politicos.
I can agree with you that there are people that exist that do not know who the national security advisor is. There are people and that is the luxury of being in a country that functions. And that's why I was bringing up Brussels. The luxury of working in a country that truly functions is that you don't have to go to sleep at night worrying about making sure that there is security, making sure that there is not a terror threat where you live, that you know that the subways are constantly being monitored by FBI, that they are constantly,
Dead body
tracking.
just got raped in New York City.
Okay.
Tara, can I follow up again, though? At the
when
worst case
when you live in-
mishandling of some classified information to now Times Square is not safe.
It reflects a lack of competence. Reflects a lack of competence.
And regular people don't care about that.
They don't care about competence until incompetence affects them.
And I don't think the NSA will affect them.
All right. We'll see. I hope
And
not
so
either.
the
You know
point that
what?
was
I
brought
hope
up-
that you said that. I'm knocking on wood, and I hope that because
Agreed.
I hope that we never have to experience.
And the
what
only
those
point
people
I
have.
was making is that Democrats are attaching to a low value story because they're desperate for something to go against the administration on.
I don't think
the
it's
point
low value.
was-
They seemed like a bunch of kids.
Okay, the point
They
I'm making
are.
is,
They're my age. I'm like, what are you doing?
Okay.
You have no experience. What are you doing here?
So anyway, will Pete Hegseth be fired? My point is probably not because this story is low value and not nearly as big as
if
people
more
make.
comes out,
How about I finish?
Yeah.
The story is not nearly as big as people think it is. Most people actually don't care. Trump has no reason to fire Hegseth over a few texts that we don't even know if they actually exist. So why are all these big outlets running
they
this
didn't
story?
deny it. They actually confirmed it.
So why
Pete
are
Hegseth
all of these
and
big
Trump-
outlets running a story of little interest? We've already had Signalgate.
Wait. I just want to correct that
Signalgate is
because you said
over.
that it didn't. You said that they didn't exist. He
I said
confirmed it
we
himself.
don't know if they exist. They came from anonymous sources.
No, Trump acknowledged it himself, and so
And
did the
what did he say?
NSC. He acknowledged it. He said
Second
it shouldn't have
Signalgate?
happened, and the NSC acknowledged
The
it.
second Signalgate.
Oh, the second Signalgate.
See, if you stopped talking for 2 seconds, you
Okay.
might have heard what I said. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.